TalkTainmentRadio.com.
We give you a reason to come.
The world's greatest radio.
We give you a reason to stay.
Radio the way it should be heard.
You got the power.
The views and opinions expressed are those of the host and guests and not necessarily those of TalkTainmentRadio.com, 3MR Production, its ownership, management, or staff.
We've got the power.
This is The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Go ahead. Make my day.
It moves forward because you reaffirmed the spirit that has triumphed over war and depression, the spirit that has lifted this country from the depths of despair to the great heights of hope, the belief that while each of us will pursue our own individual dreams, we are an American family and we rise or fall together as one nation and as one people.
Mr. Neely Fuller is here. This is The Compensatory Concept, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, radio the way it should be heard. President Barack Obama was successfully reelected, and it was an interesting election all the time. Some say it created, we heard terms like racial divide, we heard a lot of terms, but regardless of what the terms are, the President Barack Obama has been successfully reelected. Now, joining me to discuss all of the meaning of this is Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Of course, as you know, this is The Compensatory Concept. And let me bring Mr. Fuller in. Mr. Fuller, how are you doing, sir?
I'm still learning.
Did we learn a lot from last night, Mr. Fuller?
Well, we should, and we should be studying it and finding out what it all means. And everybody should ask him or herself, each person, what does it mean? And try to come up with the accurate answers in order to chart the course as to what everybody should be doing, because at the end of the day, it comes down to what people are going to actually do. And do in regards to what? In regards to the interaction between people. Everybody wants to do something. It comes down to what is it that each individual wants to do. And I always go back to what I call the basic universal questions. The four that I say, what do I want to do? Why do I want to do what I want to do? How do I plan to do what I want to do? And what do I expect the constructive result to be? Now, every black person, every white person, all of the people who were involved in the election, male and female, young and old, should think about and answer those four questions in regards to the election last night. Now that, we voted either for or against President Obama, now that that's a done deal, what is it that I plan to do with the rest of the time that I have on the planet? What is it that I want to do? What is it? Why do I want to do it? How do I plan to do what I want to do? These are important questions that everybody should be asking him or herself wherever he or she is right now. What is it I want to do? Why do I want to do it? How do I plan to do it? And what do I expect the constructive result to be? And that's in all the areas of activity. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.
now that we're at this point in history, Mr. Fuller, how do you see the reaction from those who voted against Obama? Primarily those people classified as conservatives, those who might be classified as white, because that seems to be the bulk of who voted against Mr. Obama, President Obama. How do you see their reactions to all of this, Mr. Fuller?
Well, everybody's going to have to tell the truth about why they voted as they did. And that's the first order of business. And that's very difficult to do in this, what I call the system of racism, or the system of hypocrisy, too. Because the world has been dominated by hypocrisy as a philosophy, as a standard philosophy for operating procedure of the people on the planet. Be a hypocrite. Say things that you don't mean. It's taken for granted in every area of activity under the systems that we have had as far back as anybody can remember. And this is the most outstanding one as of today. It's people being hypocrites. Flat out hypocrites. Saying things that they don't mean. And saying things that they think that, will just get them through the day. And so people should be truthful. The people who voted for President Obama should say why they did, and know why they did, and understand why they did. And the same thing with the people who voted for Mr. Romney. And say it. And I understand along the racial lines, which is the subject that I'm interested in, because I say that's the central force among the people of the planet. The white people should be more honest as a result of this election. All of them. Just come out and say what is really on their minds, the way they see the world going. And is it to their fancy, or is it not? Is it to their favor? Is it not? And if so, why? And if not, why? Because they have a voice. And they should speak out and be more honest. That is the thing that I would ask them, more than anybody, more than even what the white people, what the black people are thinking. I want to know what the white people really think about their future in this world as of this moment, and come out and say it. Say it just like they think it. Say it just like they think it. When they're sitting alone and really looking at surveying the entire situation worldwide, and say exactly what they're thinking. Because if they insist on being hypocritical, like many of them, millions of them are, if they insist on keeping up the hypocrisy, we're going to still have serious problems.
If you
a lot of the status quo is just going to keep dragging on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
We got to be brutally frank, straight up honest, and that's what I would ask of the white people who were out there cheering President Obama, and the white people who are sitting somewhere grumbling or in despair, or out there pretending, let it go as it is, and I'm all right with it, and not meaning it at all. And these are the people, mostly, who should step forward and say to the whole world exactly what they think about this entire situation as it is now, and as they think it should be in the future.
But didn't they say that with their vote, though, Mr. Fuller? Because it looks like it was kind of split down the middle. Looks like Barack won by almost 2 million in the popular vote. So it would appear that white people in general split almost down the middle on this. So wouldn't they have said how they felt with their vote?
Yes. All white people should stand up and say more than anybody. I mean, it's their voices that counts most in the world, in the system of what I say, a system of white supremacy. So all of the white people, those who say that, hey, let's modify the system, because I think it's, it might be split along three dividing lines there. Some people who say, well, let's keep the system of racism, but let's modify it so it doesn't look like it's the system of racism. Let's refine it. Then the others who say, oh, no, let's keep the system, but let's not refine it and tweak it to the extent that we get to the place where we don't even know what we're doing, and therefore we'd lose our power eventually, because we'll start fooling ourselves. And then there are those who say, let's get rid of the system altogether, forever and always, and come up with a better system. And everybody who has these views speak, and speak in no uncertain terms, and regardless of what anybody else thinks. Mean what they say and say what they mean.
So when you say there's a lot of hypocrisy going on, what do you mean by the term hypocrisy?
Because I say that the white supremacist system has, for the most part, been for some years now, some decades, in the refinement stage. That's the stage of now you see it, now you don't. In other words, you're looking at racism, but is it really racism? And maybe it isn't. In other words, confusion. And a lot of white people are very satisfied with the confusion. Some white people are not. They'll say cut and dried. I mean, make that dividing line very distinct. That I'm a white person and I believe in white supremacy, and I believe that white supremacy forever, and that's the only way to run the business of the world because it's the best way to run it. And it's a proven mechanism for running all of the affairs of the people on the planet. There are some white people who believe that, and they should say so in one voice. And don't half step. But then you have a huge number of white people who say, yes, let's keep it, but let's make it look like it's not what it is. And let's stay on that course. Let's be deceptive. Let's be hypocritical. Let's all get on the hypocritical wagon. Let's all smile when we're in pain and keep up the front. That's the best way of the future, because we'll have more stability that way and less unrest. Keep these black people confused and robotized and walking around not knowing what to do and what not, or what's going on. Keep them ignorant so that they don't even know what's going on or who's running things and really don't even care too much. Keep them in that state of mind. Because if we do it the old-fashioned way of just letting them know that, hey, white supremacy is here to stay forever, then they'll be angry and upset, and we'll have more problems.
But, Mr. Fuller, one would say that black folks did know what to do. They came out and they voted for President Obama, so they knew what to do. So why would you say they didn't?
Yes. Oh, black people knew. Black people know that they want something different from what they are used to. They don't know too much about what it is, but they do know that they want something different in all areas of activity. They certainly want more money and a roof over their heads and what they would call a better life without being able to define what that would mean, because black people have never been put in a situation where they had a whole lot of leeway for making these decisions. Decisions were always made for the victims of racism. The victims of racism have been in prison, just like people have been in prison for like forever. If you give them a little leeway and say, okay, well, if you can go out into the prison yard now where you've been confined to a cell, I mean, they say, okay, well, I can go out in the prison yard. Yeah, I'm with that. That's something different. I'll do anything that's different from what I'm doing, because I definitely don't like what I'm doing now. And so let me out into the prison yard. But I have a question. Once I get into the prison yard, what do I do out there? I mean, give me something. Give me a value system. Give me something, that I think that makes sense. Or something, even if it doesn't make sense, just give me something different, because I'm tired of doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that's the state of mind that black people have always been in. for the most part, because we've never been allowed to be in any other state of mind. Just give me something different. We don't care what it is.
Now,
give me a different sexual gender. Just put something different on the plate, because I want something to happen that's different, because I don't know what to do with myself.
Do you think that the re-election, which is symbolic, as well as it's more, it's symbolic over substance, because that's a symbolism. But what does that symbolism really mean for the way things are today? Will they continue? Will we see dramatic change in a more constructive direction? What will we see?
I don't know, because people keep using terms, abstract terms like change, forward, go forward. Even going back through the years, we have the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP. You had the Universal Negro Improvement, key word here, Improvement Association. Improvement by doing what? See, there's always a lack of details, particularly when you start talking about black people. Always a lack of details. This goes back as far back as anybody can remember. Let's improve on the Negro. Improve on the Negro by having the Negro do what? See, when it gets to the doing part, there's a huge question mark there. Just a series of question marks. What is an improved Negro? When you improve on the Negro by having the Negro do what? Put a cap on backwards, or get a new cap to put on, or walk down the street backwards, or cross over to the other side of the street, and if it's to cross over to the other side of the street, in order to do what?
Mm-hmm.
See, it always comes down to the doing. What are you talking about? What are you talking about the doing part? That's why I started off this program saying, what do I want to do? And why do I want to do it? These questions are never answered. Well, do this. Be progressive. See, that's another abstraction. Improvement. Advance. Advance why? Go forward. It's time for change. Change, okay, from what?
To what?
To what? In order to do what? See, it comes down to what are you going to be doing when you make this change? You say change from what you are now. Yeah, I got to change from what I am now because, hey, this is not where it is. Where it is. It what? Well, it should be something different. It should be better. Okay, better by doing what? Now, you got 9 areas of activity now. So you're talking about, when you're talking about time and energy, like economics, okay, you're going to use your time and energy doing what? In order to achieve what? Well, success. That's another cliche word. Well, what is success? Oh, being prosperous. Prosperous how? In order to do what? Eat more cotton candy or what? Does that make you prosperous? What do you mean by prosperity? What do you mean by success? What do you mean by advancement? What do you mean by being forward? What do you mean by making a change? I mean, give me the details.
And we will. Stay right there. We've got more of the details coming up. What is the current state of race relations that we are dealing with, and how will the election affect or change it? Stay right there. More to come on TalkTainmentRadio.com.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. Food for thought.
Recently, I took a trip by airplane. Needless to say, it was an experience. I have concluded that to get through security without much effort, one must go to the airport half naked. Wearing no jewelry of any kind, even wearing plastic jewelry, I was still detained to have my ears more closely inspected. Shoes have to be removed, which is a definite inconvenience during the summer since I don't like to wear socks. It's unnerving walking barefoot in the same footprints of hundreds of thousands of other people. As I removed my infinity scarf that I had wrapped around my neck 3 times, I felt a twinge of embarrassment when I almost choked myself trying to get out of it. Finally, through security, I felt closer to my fellow travelers. all of us having to retrieve our belongings and get redressed to start our journeys. Next trip, I will wait to get fully dressed at the airport after passing through security.
That's another food for thought. To hear additional food for thought, stay tuned to TalkTameRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard.
Hi, I'm Keith Lusher, authorized agent for Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. Looking for high-quality health coverage that fits your budget? We have a large network of providers to ensure that you get high-quality care for a low cost. Visit me on the web at BeWellInOhio.com. That's Keith Lusher at BeWellInOhio.com.
Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Community Insurance Company, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Association. Anthem is a registered trademark of Anthem Insurance Companies Incorporated. The Blue Cross and Blue Shield names and symbols are registered marks of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Touch modality. Relax, release, rejuvenate, de-stress. Let us assist you in addressing all of your head-to-toe issues. Discover the benefits of massage through Touch Modalities, Massage, and Bodywork. Visit us at touchmodalities.massageplannet.com, www.touchmodalities.massageplanet.com, or call for an appointment at 888-764-4798 or 556-6014.
Welcome to that time of year. Time to start planning your holiday shopping list. And if you have book lovers on your list, then think about a visit to the Village Bookshop on Route 161. Located in an historic old church building in Linworth, the Village Bookshop is Ohio's largest book clearinghouse outlet. Save up to 90% on the widest array of books available anywhere, with something for just about everybody on your shopping list, even yourself. The Village Bookshop, just west of Route 315 on 161, open 7 days a week, 614-889-2674.
This is Jason Austin with Corey Insurance, where we believe in giving others resources, education, and empowerment. We specialize in life, auto, home, and small business insurance. We want to give you and your family the protection they deserve. Give Corey Insurance a call today for a free quote at 614-316-2117. Again, that's 614-316-2117. Look forward to hearing from you.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller is a must-read. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461. The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept by Neely Fuller. Get the book now.
I'm Tammy. I got your lucky number, heard exclusively on Conversating the AM at 11:11 a.m. Mondays and Fridays. Make sure you tune in for your lucky number. Punch in TalkTameRadio.com and click on Listen Live and listen for your lucky number.
We've got the power.
Justice is better than racism.
This is the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTameRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard. Joining me every week at this same time on Wednesday, 10 a.m. live, of course, is Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., the author of 2 definitive works, and I'm going to give him a chance to say what those works are. He's joining me on the aftermath of the national election. As you know, President Barack Obama was reelected to another 4-year term. Challenger Mitt Romney was defeated in what say is a divided nation, whatever that means. Mr. Fuller, before we get to the racial state of things as a result of this election, or what impact this had on creating a certain racial state of things, or if the racial state of things ever had changed, tell us about your 2 definitive books, Mr. Fuller.
Yes. The basic title is The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, and the subtitle is Textbook Workbook for Thought, Speech, and Action for Victims of Racism, racism being white supremacy. And one is a word guide that tells you how to use words and how not to use them, what words to look for, what words that when other people use them, like the word success, the word failure, the word advancement, the word change. I mean, and what context that would mean. Get in the habit of asking people, well, if you're going to say that we're going forward into what? In order to do what? Because everything comes down to what you do. So the word guide is all about that, because we use words every day. These are the tools of communication, and the tools of communication will formulate how people will act. Because once you think, then you speak, then what you're thinking about and what you're speaking about, you're most likely to act on. Now, these books can be obtained by punching up on your computer the word tiny, TINY, .cc/forward, then the word Fuller in capital letters. That's Fuller in capital letters, FULLER. I'll repeat, tiny.cc/forward, and the word Fuller in capital letters.
Mr. Fuller, it would appear by all appearances, and just looking at the campaign rallies of Mitt Romney, looking at who appeared to be around him outside of the Secret Service agents, didn't see many black faces, didn't see many at all. And the impression was left that this could be an all-white thing. And given the history of the Mormon background and all of those kind of things, coming from a state like Utah where there are very few blacks, maybe it comes down to what you said. Maybe some people didn't want that model back in place. And so it looked like to many people that maybe Romney represented the reinstallation of that model. Comment on that, Mr. Fuller.
Well, that's a big question mark. See, it's a lot of question marks here because I believe there's a lot of hypocrisy here. I mean, when people use slogans like freedom and, pursuit of happiness and all like that, when really the questions should be addressed to the white people, really, of this entire planet. What is it that you want at this point? And what is it that you want for yourself? And what is it that you don't want for yourself? Because there are a whole lot of don't wants. See, when you say what you want, I mean, you also should say all the things, have a list of all the things you don't want to see happen and why you don't want to see these things happen. Just be clear about that. I mean, the white people of this planet should be very serious about this and very honest for the first time, probably. Just say it in one voice. This is the list. This is the list of things that I want for me and for my children who come after me. This is the list right here. Now, over here on the other column, this is the list that I don't want. And particularly when it comes to interacting with all these dark-skinned people. This is the list right over here, the solid list. No half-stepping, no maybes, no tongue-in-cheek, no nuances. This is a solid list of all of the things that I definitely do not want to see happen. Where these dark-skinned people, all these black people, brown people, red people, I don't want none of this over here in this column. And over here in the other column, I'll tell you all the things that I do want. And then we sit down at the table and we iron it all out. That's all that's got to be done. There's really nothing to be uptight about. Just be honest. Be honest.
Well, what do you say?
And now when we make up these lists now, we categorize them so everything will be nice and neat and there won't be any confusion, because that's what we got too much of. Right this minute, we have mass confusion. All right? So everybody should say what they want and what they don't want in every category, meaning economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And just give all the do's and don'ts. That's all you need. All the do's and don'ts for everybody, so everybody will have a clear understanding. And then we'll have what we call that quality relationship that everybody on the planet should have. just by being honest. I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this, and I don't want that, and just go right down that list of the don't wants. I definitely don't want to see this happen. This is something I definitely don't want to see, ever. And just say so. All of the things that they don't want to see happen. And then on the other column, all the things they do want to see happen. And then everybody, just match all the do's and don'ts and come out with with a handshake on all of it. For the first time in history, maybe.
Mr.
We
Fuller.
got an excellent opportunity to do that, because that needs to be done.
Right.
I mean, just running around waving flags and sloganeering and all like that, and jockeying for positions, and everybody talking, in whispers sometimes, and then coming out waving and whatnot. All is fine with the world, and we're all in this together. And all these slogans. Get rid of the slogans. Let's get into some specifics.
Mr. Fuller, you said something that I want to come back to. You said you have to get inside the minds of those who lost and start asking them, what do they believe the future of their group is in this country? So I'm going to ask you, Mr. Fuller, if you can peer inside as best you can of the minds of some of the white people who lost this election, what do you think they think the future of white people is in America? Because they've been told by 2050 that their majority will be gone and a host of other things. What do you think they think is the future of white people in this area of the world?
Well, I think that the system of white supremacy is at a decision-making position, which I just outlined. They're going to have to either continue the refinement of racism or lapse back into the unrefined way of doing it, which means busting heads and slaughtering people and then pretending that they're not doing it, which is part of the refinement, and try to mix it up. But it's not going to work that way. It's either going to be clear or it's not going to be clear, and that's where it's headed. And so they're going to have to make up their minds whether to go out of the business of racism and replacing it with a system of justice, because that would be the only logical thing to replace it with, or continue it. And if you're going to continue it, then it means that it's going to be perpetual conflict until we finally have to make the decision to produce justice anyway. So this is all up to the white people to make up their minds about. And we've got to be honest about it. I mean, we've got to state it just the way that I'm stating it. What is it that you want? Talking about the white people of the world, because they make most of the decisions for the people of this planet. And I'm talking specifically about the white people who believe in white supremacy in one form or another. Now, what is it you want to do? And what is it you don't want to do? And let's just sit down and be civil about this thing for once and for all. Get it done. Now, that's a cliche saying that really should be said over and over again. Let's just get this thing done. Get it done once and for all. Stop this backing and forth. Stop all of this intrigue, all of this chicanery, all of this deception. Let's get this thing done once and for all. And let's, everybody, regardless of how you feel about it, just say what you feel. That's number one. And say what you plan to do based on what you feel. And be honest about it. For God's sakes, I mean, this is crucial. Otherwise, we're going to have mass confusion out here. And you know where mass confusion is going to lead to, and that's chaos of some sort or another. And that will lead to anger. And you just have mass conflict.
Let's assume that doesn't happen. I think there's a good chance that what you're calling for probably is not going to happen. Then what is it that we ought to be preparing for as you see it, Mr. Fuller?
Just more of the same of what you're looking at now, and becoming more and more sophisticated, more backstabbing, more black people walking around like zombies, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to value, not knowing what's important, not knowing the difference between a male and a female. Just stone, obliteration of the mind. Complete. no value system of any kind. Just going around doing things like robots, like Frankenstein's.
So what you're saying is that our condition, mental, emotional condition, you don't see any improvement? That's what I'm trying to understand.
On the course that we're on now, because we don't have a vision, and people who don't have a vision, I'm saying, like I said in my book, because people have asked me this time through the years, what is it that we should want, Mr. Fuller? And I said, well, we should want to be what people ought to be, if we can ever find out what that is. And so that's an evolving process. So we'll put a label on it, said we should be evolving toward universal man and universal woman. Now, what would that look like? We really don't know. But it would be the very best that there is in a most constructive manner. And the only way you know the difference between something constructive and something non-constructive is by trial and error. So you always try to do the constructive thing in every area of activity. In economics, what's the most constructive way to use your time and energy? Because that's the compensatory definition for economics, the use of time and energy. So what's the most constructive thing to do each and every minute of each and every day in the use of your time and energy? And then in the field of education, what's the most constructive way to educate people? In the field of entertainment. And this is, look at entertainment the way it is now. Entertainment consists of non-constructive things. I mean, they're talking about building more casinos, having boats on it and all like that. Is that constructive? Is that the most constructive thing for people to do? Is to come to a gaming table and lose their money and walk away in despair and wonder how they're going to pay their rent? And this, that's just in one phase of entertainment. See, but, you know, and it's been on the ballots in some places recently, right over here in Maryland, as of last night. What's on the table that's constructive? What's being considered? There wasn't any referendum on building a bridge or a highway, I don't think. It was all about whether or not they're going to have gaming or whether or not they're going to have same-sex marriage. Now, is this constructive? I mean, is this a priority? I mean, with hurricanes coming? I mean, is this what you're making a priority? You got a hurricane coming, another one, and then one after that. You're going to wash away whole cities. And look at your priorities.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and just go through all of the areas of activity.
So what you're saying is that it's pushing black people. This is what I'm getting. It's pushing on black people almost into a state of madness. Am I being incorrect here?
Well, that's the way you definitely want people to be insane if you want to dominate them. And, you know, even thinking that way is a form of insanity itself. When you just want to dominate people on the basis of, hey, just an insane idea of swagging around saying that you're dominating them. And that's what racism is all about. That's really what it's all about, fundamentally. Just a swagger. That's what it is. Swagger based on I can mistreat you and entertain myself doing it and enjoy it, make it a way of life. And any type of philosophy of that kind, it's going to spawn nothing but pure nonsense, destructive nonsense. So we should be trying to get on the page of saying, let's try something different and be serious about it for a change. We understand the formula, you know, and that is try to be the most constructive organisms that are on this planet. People are just organisms. You know, it's all kind of organisms on the planet. So you want to be the most constructive of organisms, and I call it universal man and universal woman because we are in a universe. Try to adhere to universal principles.
Got you.
Constructive principles.
Right. Stay right there, Mr. Fuller. More to come on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Have you ever wished you could spend more time with your kids, or maybe quality time with your spouse, when you can actually have an uninterrupted conversation? Do you owe your dad a little catch-up time? Well, it's time to reconnect, and no activity can bond a family together quite like boating and fishing. I mean, think of all the great experiences you had as a kid when you went boating or fishing. Well, guess what? It's still great. Boating and fishing are the perfect opportunities for your family to get away, to talk, to laugh, to create new memories. So take someone you love out on the water and see where the water takes you. If you haven't been on the water in a while and you're not sure where to start, or if you just like to have some helpful tips for your next trip, please visit takemefishing.org. This has been a public service of TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard.
Welcome to that time of year. Time to start planning your holiday shopping list. And if you have book lovers on your list, then think about a visit to the Village Bookshop on Route 161. Located in an historic old church building in Linworth, the Village Bookshop is Ohio's largest book clearinghouse outlet. Save up to 90% on the widest array of books available anywhere, with something for just about everybody on your shopping list, even yourself. The Village Bookshop, just west of Route 315 on 161, open 7 days a week, 614-889-2674.
Touch modality. Relax, release, rejuvenate, de-stress. Let us assist you in addressing all of your head-to-toe issues. Discover the benefits of massage through touch modalities, massage, and bodywork. Visit us at touchmodaلیes.massageplannet.com, www.touchmodalities.massageplanet.com, or call for an appointment at 888-764-4798 or 556-6014.
This is Jason Austin with Corey Insurance, where we believe in giving others resources, education, and empowerment. We specialize in life, auto, home, and small business insurance. We want to give you and your family the protection they deserve. Give Corey Insurance a call today for a free quote at 614-316-2117. Again, that's 614-316-2117. Look forward to hearing from you.
Relaxation, body, and mind transformation, all happening at Miami Jacobs Massage and Spa Clinic. Enjoy Swedish massages, hot stone massages, and couples massages, plus mud wraps, salt scrubs, paraffin dips, aromatherapy, facial massages, and more, all at a great value. We use the products gentle enough for sensitive skin. All students are supervised by a licensed massage therapist for the best quality care. Not only can you enjoy any of our great services, but we also offer gift cards for our services and products, great gift ideas for your family and friends. Now is the time to feel great inside and out, so bring your friends to Serenity Spa, located at 150 East Gay Street in Columbus. For more information, call 614-221-7770. That's 614-221-7770. Serenity Spa at Miami Jacobs Career College. Changing futures, changing lives.
The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept by Neely Fuller is considered as one of the substantial and basic books for understanding and effectively countering racism. The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept by Neely Fuller will turn upside down everything you've heard and everything you think you know about racism and how it works. The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept by Neely Fuller is a must-read. Call area code 202-484-5461. 202-484-5461. The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept by Neely Fuller. Get the book now.
Face paint, sweater vest, Buckeye Extra Game Day Plus. Pick up Buckeye Extra Game Day Plus, football Saturdays only in the Columbus Dispatch. Call 1-877-7-DISPATCH to subscribe.
What's up, Columbus? This is Andrew Ford, and you're listening to Talktainment Radio. When I'm in the car, when I'm at home, when I'm in the shower, I listen to Talktainment Radio all the time. Talktainment Radio, this is Andrew Ford. You heard it from me first, baby. Radio, the way it should be heard.
We've got the power.
Justice is better than racism.
This is the Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. Radio, the way it should be heard. I'm Brother Kahari, sitting in every week at this time with Mr. Fuller. For those of you who are listening live, you can always listen to us at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. And for those of you who may not have the occasion to listen live, you can always go to TalkTainmentRadio.com 24 hours a day and click up programs and then go straight to the Compensatory Concept, and voila, there you are. You've got the Compensatory Concept very, very much on your dial, well, on your computer actually, and you're actually able to hear it. Shows that you may have missed, so please take advantage of that. Mr. Fuller, we are looking at now going into a state. Nobody knows which way this thing is going to go. The election is finally over. We know which way that's going to go, but we don't know which way race relations will go. It would appear that some have called this a racially divisive election. That's what we constantly heard throughout. Both sides accused each other of being racist. Now, it has stirred this notion of racism probably worse than it did 4 years ago. I'd say much worse. So the notion of the post-racial state is obviously over with. But at the same time, there were a lot of white people who voted for Barack Obama. Had they not done that, he would not be sitting there today. And there were a lot of white people who stayed at home because they did not like the white candidate, Mitt Romney. So the question that I guess I have deep inside of my mind is a question, because it looks like the total vote count actually may be a little lower than, I think there was 120 million. The last number I saw was 120 million last time. Now, all the votes are not in, I don't think. But it looks like it's about 118 million, or just a little over that, maybe. So it seems like a lot of people didn't come. A lot of people stayed at home on this one, or something didn't register. Maybe, as I said before, maybe the image being put forth by Romney with not too many blacks or even non-whites, and there wasn't much effort to appeal to the Latino vote whatsoever, when they could have put Marco Rubio on the ticket, or the governor of New Mexico. For some reason, Paul Ryan pops up. So it just gives the opinion that the candidate was going pretty much for the white vote, and that's where he hung his total hat. Well, in order to have won, he probably need to get about 75% of that white vote, which he didn't get. So the question becomes, are we better off in terms of race relations after this election? Are we worse, or are we approximately at the same status? Mr. Fuller.
Well, the status quo is the system of racism, regardless of what form it might take. And that's racism in the form of white supremacy, which is the only functional form anyway. And so that's still what we have. But now there are people who are saying that, well, are we supposed to be moving out of it? Are we supposed to be keeping it? Are we supposed to be refining it and keeping it in a refined manner? And what are we supposed to be doing? And that's the bottom line. And we, meaning the people of the planet, really. I mean, in this small world that we're in now, on account of the iPhones and all this, fast communications, fast transportation, people going anywhere and whatnot. And so it comes down to what type of relationships are we going to have? Now, what we do have is what we have always had, and that is what I call the 3 T's, like I have in the word guide, and that's tacky, trashy, and terroristic. These are the dominant relationships of the people on the planet, and the white supremacists have fostered this type of interaction between people. You can't really call it relationships, you call it an arrangement, and I call it the 3 T's: tacky, trashy, terroristic. And at very best, if you see how people interact with each other each and every day in this hypocritical society that has been fashioned worldwide. Hypocritical meaning people being false. See, being false is the way that everybody is trained to be. I mean, that goes with the system of racism, which is the dominant system. So people interact with each other every day. I mean, they say good morning and all like that, but it's tacky. You can tell that it's tacky. There's no sincerity in anything. When you find a little bit of sincerity, I mean, oh boy, I mean, it's almost overwhelming. I mean, particularly when it's sincere in a constructive manner, okay? And so it's tacky. The way people talk to each other, the high-fiving, the handshakes, all of it, the hugs that black people have when they greet each other and all like that, and all the machinations that go into that, it's tacky. And then when you get black people around white people, I mean, the artificial smiles, the artificial grins, I mean, what black people sometimes use the slang expression, shucking and jiving. I mean, it's tacky. T-A-C-K-Y. It's just tacky. You can tell that it's tacky. It's really not, people are really not into each other in a serious, constructive manner. I mean, with any depth to it. Everything is so superficial. The marriages are superficial. Everything. I mean, the comings and goings, everything is just superficial. Everything is just so phony. I mean, it's almost sickening. And it's tacky, tacky, tacky. Now, when they try to improve on the tackiness, then it goes to the second T. It becomes trashy, particularly interactions between black people and white people. And I'll give an example so the people get a picture of what I mean. You got Christmas parties coming up. Now, everything starts off with the tackiness at the beginning of the party. Office party, you might say, a setting. Midtown Manhattan, office party. Late at night, going into the night. It'll start off tacky. People just standing around making strained conversation, a tacky conversation. Then they start passing drinks around. Then it goes from tacky to trashy, particularly if you've got white and non-white involved. It's heading for trashiness. The whole thing is going to wind up being trashy. And then, if it's strictly among black people, you might say, and also among white people when they're just among themselves, it goes to the third T. If you try to improve on the trashiness, then it becomes terroristic. Somebody starts saying something that's abrasive. Somebody insults somebody. People are drinking and all like that. Next thing you know, you got combat. You got a fight. You got animosity. Now, it might not degenerate into that all the way, but it's still terroristic. I mean, it becomes, people become fearful of each other. It started off being tacky, then it went into the trashy stage. People talking trash and acting trashy. I mean, somebody gets up on the stage and does a nude dance and whatever. Office party. All right. This is what we call, Americana in this area of the world and many other areas of the world. And, and it's just a way of, they say, being happy, a way of celebrating, a way of life, a part of the quote unquote culture. Tacky, trashy, terroristic. Is that all you got? Could you be universal people? A constructive people in everything that you do all of the time and be comfortable with being constructive rather than always looking forward to doing something destructive. Like the cultures that we have that dominate the people of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Tacky, trashy, terroristic. 1, 2, 3. It always leads that way.
And
glorification of violence.
And so what we're standing on right now as we approach this whole new era is what you're saying is nothing new at all. It's a continuation of the same old thing. For some reason,
that's where we are now. I mean, and we're just trying to dress it up and glorify it and whatnot, but it's the same old mess. Tacky, trashy, terroristic. Just think of those 3 T's. Every situation that you're looking at. Tacky. Just the way people greet each other in the morning and whatnot. It's so artificial. It's almost painful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no depth to it. There's no real feel in there. It's just going through motions like zombies.
Where's all this leading to, Mr. Fuller? I mean, what would the final chapter of all this look like?
Well, the found chapter is the found chapter of what you're looking at. I mean, until it changes, it's already hit the wall a long time ago, and we're just kind of stuck in that like a airplane flying over the airport and can't land. I mean, it just keeps circling around, and with the same thing going on, the same tackiness, the same trashiness.
But that leads to
terror.
Doesn't that lead to mass deterioration?
Well, that's what we've had all along. But the white supremacists, in their ingenuity, they know how to dress it up and put it in a pretty package because they are technical people. And so they know how to put new pink ribbons on everything, and then change the ribbons, but it's still the same old package with a new ribbon around it. And they just keep putting new ribbons around the same package. New boxes in the same, with the same old Christmas toys, you might say. And that's that tackiness, the trashiness, and the terrorism all over the world. They worship it. They worship being tacky. They worship being trashy. Worship being terroristic. And they teach all the other people this. And so black people are the same way. Tacky, trashy, terroristic. Everything that we do. Just tacky. Tacky.
And you would think, let's say what you're saying is effectively correct, then why you would think at a time such as this, with a black man in the most powerful office, public office anyway, in the world, you would think that the people who he's part of would be the most organized, have the best behavior and the finest character going. But what you're saying is that it's just the opposite. The character and the behavior.
Black people, including President Obama, is just a product that the white supremacists have produced. I'm a product that they have produced. I'm tacky. And if I try to improve on the tackiness, I will become trashy and then terroristic. And we're all in that mode because we don't know anything else. That makes up the entire society if we tell the truth about it. It's just those three T's. Everything from airline pilots to the lady at the little, delicatessen and whatnot. It's just tacky, trashy, terroristic.
A continuation
in one form or another. I mean, it hasn't gotten any better than that. There's really no depth. There's really no breakout of this.
And that's what I was going to ask you.
We're nowhere near being a universal man and universal woman. I mean, white people, non-white people, young, old, male, female, we're nowhere near being in this universe. The universal people that all people should be. And being in tune with the universe, meaning what? What do I mean by that, so that I don't get into sloganeering? It means being constructive in everything that you do. Not tacky, trashy, and terroristic, but always thinking in terms of doing the most constructive things, even when we entertain ourselves. Entertainment under the system of racism is about terrorism. I mean, open a toy book for this coming Christmas of all things. Supposed to be celebrating
peace
someone who is supposed to represent peace. Mm-hmm. What do you see? Ray guns and all the rest of it.
Killing. Yeah.
Yeah, killing. I mean, terroristic. Be terroristic. Be trashy. When it comes to sex, just do anything, I mean, as long as it's good and trashy.
Yeah, do as thou wilt.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, mix it all up any kind of old way. I mean, and just see how trashy you can get, I mean, maybe, I mean, a little bit of it, I mean, is the way it ought to be. I don't know. But, hey, to drown in it all the time, I mean, you get to the place you can't stand yourself. And all this terrorism, looking forward to being, I'm going to be a killer, I'm going to be a soldier and whatnot. And the only thing you celebrate is somebody who has a sword in his hand and put it in the history books. The only heroes that you got are people with swords. And you got to dig down real deep in that book to find somebody who cured somebody of something. And you don't even remember his or her name.
Mr. Fuller,
they don't even matter.
thank you so much for joining us once again for this edition of the Compensatory Concept.